It all started 10 years ago. I uploaded my first YouTube video, which was a review of War in Middle-earth for the PC. I've reviewed over 70 retro games since then. This video is a tribute to 15 of the top mind-blowing moments, at least from my perspective, of various games that I have reviewed. If you don't see one mentioned on here, it doesn't mean it's not a great game. It just means I had to limit it to 15. So here we go, starting in chronological order. The Ancient Art of War. The game was released in 1984. I remember playing it back then, or perhaps it was 1985, but regardless, my mind was blown. Here we have CGA graphics, which means you only have 4 colors to choose from, and yet look at the great detail. They used dithering to make it appear like there were more colors. This was one of the first real-time strategy games. There were no other games in 1984 that compared to this, at least for the PC. The ability to control your units directly, have different types, each had advantages and disadvantages. And it was so fun just to see what would happen and to see the last man standing. The background terrain would change. There's hills that you could fight on to get advantages for elevation. Just an amazing game for 1984. The next game was another mind-blowing one for me, King's Quest I. The CGA version was released in 1983, but here I'm showing the 1986 release, which was the EGA version. This game was revolutionary for adventure games. I remember being blown away by the sheer number of actions and artifacts you could find, and the fact that it was a complete mystery and you had to figure all this out on your own. It also had great story and great characters. I consider this the pioneer game of all adventure games, at least for the PC. Next, we have a revolutionary role-playing game, Bards Tale Part 1. It was released in 1987, and boy did it push the PC to the limits. Just look at these graphics. But the true mind-blowing moment was the music for me. This is PC speaker music. The in-game music even changed as your bard played different songs. Revolutionary concept. Next, Wizardry 4, which was released in 1987. While the graphics were absolutely terrible compared to some of the other games like Bards Tale, it took the role-playing game genre and flipped it on its ear. You played as the bad guy, and you actually had to get rid of the do-gooders. Without any help or hints, this is definitely the hardest role-playing game, if not any game, I've ever seen or played. And you got to remember, there was no internet back then, so this game was pretty much unbeatable. Saving the game or going up and down stairs regenerated all monsters on that level. Now, there's also a lot of comedy in this game, which was pretty mind-blowing for me. When I was a kid, I didn't understand a lot of it, but now as an adult, I find it absolutely hilarious. The game even includes real player characters that had been sent to Surtech on floppy diskettes. How amazing is that? But what's the real mind-blowing moment? You get to see the inside of the Adventures Inn from the Wizardry series. This is the only game that shows what the inside of that and Gilgamesh's Tavern actually look like. Up next, we have Fantasy III, It was released in 1987. Again, a role-playing game. You could actually play as monsters. Kobolds, trolls, ogres. Awesome. And this is CGA graphics. And look how well done those are. Working with 4 colors and you can see exactly what those are. Fantastic job. It also had hit areas. You could get hit in the arm, the body, head, and there was various levels of injuries, like just injured, broken, or gone if it was chopped off. I just loved this game when I was a kid. I love games that have a lot of variety, and this game does. There's a lot of variety of character classes and races, weapons, armor, magic spells, enemies, you name it. So fantastic job for 1987. Next up, we have Wizard's Crown. This was actually an SSI game. A lot of people don't know that. The DOS version was released in 1987. This is a very complex and detailed role-playing game. It also includes a lot of strategy. You had all kinds of different skills and the ability to use quick combat to get past tediousness, or, if you wanted to, go into detailed combat. From here, you could control every aspect of combat. You'll notice that there's different types of terrain objects. This is the predecessor to the Advanced Dungeons & Dragons Gold Box series that everybody loves. This game also includes injury and bleeding. It even includes different types of weapons such as bashing, cutting, and thrusting, which do different damage to different types of armor. Another revolutionary game for DOS was Alternate Reality, The City, which was released in 1988. It had the concept of rain. You can see the rain falling real time. It was also trying to be the first real 3D type game. You can see how smooth the movement is. Instead of a giant XY coordinate, you had little bitty steps. Very smooth animation. Many things in this game that are amazing. Next up, we have Star Command, which was released in 1988. I remember this being the first space-based RPG that I ever played. I was blown away by the sheer number of weapons and armor that you could get. Not only did you take care of your personal character inventory, but you also had a ship, and you could buy different weapons and armor for that as well. I remember how blown away I was when I discovered you could fly your ship next to an enemy ship, get on board, and take it over. Truly amazing for its time. I also loved how the various weapons would have different animations and sound effects. And boy was this game hard. You could only save the game once you made it back to base. So kind of like similar to wizardry type games, you would be out there in the middle of nowhere, get something accomplished, and try to make it back in time before you died. Very stressful, but lots of fun. The next game with mind-blowing features is Wasteland. You have the ability to control a party, but you can also disband and cause members to move separately. I think that feature was way ahead of its time. I also loved the detailed verbiage you got during combat as you strike down enemies. It really painted a vivid picture of what was happening. I also enjoyed the comedy built in and all the bizarre types of characters. So you have some old-fashioned RPGs that include futuristic. Well, this game is futuristic and includes some old, as you saw some nuns and monks and things of that nature. What an awesome storyline, an awesome set of characters. I know the game was an inspiration for others such as Fallout. But seriously, who doesn't want a badass female like Christina on their team? Wasteland also has its fair share of comedy. But best of all, you can do what you want to do. Such as blow away these annoying juvies. Next up is War in Middle-earth, which was released in 1988. I remember being amazed by the lush EGA graphics at the time and the ability to zoom in and zoom out of the large map and see details. You could even see your characters camping at night. I was blown away by all the different places in Middle-earth. Special characters you could meet, special items you could find. It was really a combination of a role-playing game and real-time strategy. The game stayed true to Lord of the Rings, but the most amazing part is you could do it however you wanted to. There were multiple ways to achieve the end result. You could have detailed combat view if you only have a certain number of characters in your party. Or, if you have an army, it would present this format. Because of the flexibility and freedom you have, it makes the game have a lot of replay value. I remember being blown away by the fact that I could try to save certain characters and have them toward the end of the game, even though in the book they died. In fact, Frodo can even die in the game, and that's okay. Someone else can pick up the ring and carry it along. Next, the first AD&D Gold Box game, Pool of Radiance. This game was absolutely massive for the time. It had so many different types of quests you could complete for City Hall. There are all kinds of places to explore in this game. And there's a wide variety of monsters to battle. The combat system is one of the best. Of course, it's turn-based. But the graphical representation of each character and monster makes it feel like you're really there. The graphics were also pretty nice for the time. But what this game is mostly noted for is its massive battles. There's all kinds of mini quests in the game too. In fact, some of them are randomly generated. That was way ahead of its time. They even stay true to the Advanced Dungeons & Dragons rules, such as once you reach 20 Constitution, the character begins to regenerate hit points. Epic game for its time. Next up we have Hero's Quest. So you want to be a hero? Or sometimes known as Quest for Glory. It was a hybrid RPG adventure game where you could choose whether you wanted to be a fighter, magic user, or thief. Very similar to the King's Quest world because this is a Sierra game, yet with RPG elements. So you get to choose what types of attributes you want to raise at the beginning of the game. And the game is just full of beautiful Sierra typical graphics, sound, story, etc. But what makes this different than the other Sierra games is since you could choose the different class, you could do different actions to complete the game. The thief, for example, could throw or pick locks or climb slick walls. While the magic user could cast spells to have similar effects. And of course the fighter would just duke it out. Because of these elements, it had extra replay value. The next game we're going to discuss is even more epic in my mind, and that's Ultima VI. It's an RPG that was released in 1990. The most mind-blowing moments in this game are the sheer number of items and objects you can manipulate in the world. It also has reagents for magic spells. The first game I remember encountering that. Even the ability for you to control things such as Sherry, the mouse, to go in a hole and find special items. But the best thing about this game are the characters. The sheer number of people and NPCs you will meet. All having their own story, their own personalities. It really felt like you were in this world, interfacing with all of these people. Nice little touches, you could even look at them and watch them sleep. Many different quests to complete in the game. There's even some comedy built in. The graphics are also fantastic. Did I mention you can run in, watch somebody sleep, and run out? The number of NPCs you can get is pretty nice too. Helps to bolster your original 4 party members. Just an overall amazing experience with the community and characters that were created. Next, we have one of my personal favorites, Wizardry VI, Bane of the Cosmic Forge, released in 1991. One of the most mind-blowing moments of this game was when I saw the number of character races and classes that you could play as. It had such a wide variety, and you had to earn those classes too. You'd get bonus points randomly when you tried to create. There was no easy way to just automatically create, let's say, a ninja. You had to earn it and invest those hours and minutes to generate it. Then you get to choose how to distribute your attributes and skills. The game also had a wide variety of portraits to choose from, so you could really customize your party. This is kind of breaking away from the old Wizardry series and starting a brand new area. Also had different magic realms, which was fantastic. The next game I'm going to talk about is Darklands. While I did not play this when I was a child, I did review this one, and boy does it deserve to be in this video. Talking about an amazing game. It was released in 1992 by Microprose. Talk about an ambitious game. It takes place at the Holy Roman Empire during the 15th century. And the game includes a lot of historical accuracy, but it's also fantasy-based. Just the sheer number of options you have, and the realism. I was highly impressed, and this was the year 2018, many, many years after the game was made. And what's more, it's highly addictive. I had a really hard time stepping away from the game while I was reviewing it. Talk about a lot of replay value, much randomness to this world. Final game I'm going to talk about today is Stronghold, released in 1993. It's a Dungeons & Dragons 1st edition, city-building real-time strategy game. It even includes RPG elements. Individual units have their own level, weapons, armor, experience, etc. and you can control each individual unit. The hand-drawn artwork is fantastic. But talk about an addictive game. This is one of those games that keeps you on the edge of your seat the whole time. You're constantly juggling your economy and your battles. You don't control the units directly in battle, but it's very entertaining to watch them. So I hope you've enjoyed this 10-year trip down memory lane. And a special thanks to you all for being loyal subscribers. I'll see you next time.